Hey, welcome to this week's Table Talk podcast. It's Caleb. I'm joined by David. It is Tuesday morning of Holy Week. We're just a few days away from Easter. And David, it is pretty nice outside right now. It's been a beautiful week so far.
It's been great. A little bit chilly in the mornings. We've officially met the time where you come with a sweatshirt to work and you leave them in your car.
Yes, that's right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's like, and then I somehow end up with like 6 sweatshirts in my car.
You're just ready to go at all times.
Yes, and then I bring in a handful of sweatshirts into the house all at once. So
Great. I love this time of year. I love spring. I don't love the allergy part of it, but I love spring and I love Easter. I love Easter week. I don't know. It's always good. Feels nice. Feels fresh. We got some fresh things happening in the worship center.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good time of year.
Yeah, it is. NBA playoffs are starting. You know, that's a big one for me. I'm excited about that.
Revenge of the Sith 20th anniversary is coming to theaters next week.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure
I will be seeing that.
Landry will go with you.
He should.
It's a Star Wars Legos is his thing right now.
I didn't know this was happening. I was walking downtown and saw the poster outside of the Regal downtown. And I was like, I have to go see this. I know what I'm doing.
And that makes me a little sad that it's been out that long.
Oh gosh,
It's
dude.
shocking.
I remember I think I was in 3rd grade the year it came out. And I remember like being on the internet looking at Star Wars discussion forums for like a year and a half before the movie, like about, trying people have their theories and what's going to happen and all this stuff. And then my mom checked me out of school early so that we could go watch the movie the day it came out. And it was awesome.
Man,
great.
What a move by your mom.
It was great.
What a move.
I know. She was a teacher. I was shocked.
Showed up in the clutch, man.
Yeah, but she
That's
did.
incredible.
So we saw it the day of, and I was obsessed.
They call
Absolutely
those
obsessed.
memories, man. That's a core memory.
Yep.
And your mom did it.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
It was pretty cool.
That's
It was a good
awesome.
day.
I didn't really watch it until college. We watched all of them together. I saw bits and pieces, and I knew I probably
Some
watched
things.
Yeah, I knew
Yeah.
some things, but not until I watched them in college. I was like, oh,
They're so good.
this is good. And what's an interesting thing is like I think I like all the newer ones as much as I like the old ones.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably because I didn't grow up with the old ones.
Yeah.
And so like it's interesting how it can change
Yeah.
those type of things.
Man, if you haven't watched Star Wars, now's a great time to binge the movies before Revenge of the Sith comes back to theaters next week. So I think you should go see it. Just watching, I don't know. I know this is not a movie podcast, but let's talk about it for a second. I love the movies. I love theaters. I love going to a theater and watching a movie. And it makes me really sad that like that medium is shrinking somewhat. So like go to the movie, go watch Star Wars, go experience something in a theater. I think it's great. And I know they're stupid expensive, and that's why things are they're dying, is because they have outpriced themselves. But that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I love the movies. I hate that it's kind of a dying medium.
Yeah. They have they have one out that's like a story of Jesus's life based off of Dickens, a book he wrote for his kids. And so I think we're going to go see that at some point.
Yeah.
We want to go catch that with our kids, and it's kind of a cool and just a good way to support that people, the artists who are doing that. But we love the movies. That's one of our favorite things to go take our kids to go do, and go catch a matinee, get there at like 11, go eat a late dinner, early lunch, and it's good memories and a lot of times good conversation.
Yeah.
Like was what I found is like we watch movies, and we come out of that, and whether they're Christian movies or not, it brings out really good conversation for us and our kids.
Yeah.
And like you said, I know this has nothing to do with
okay.
any of it. We're just talking, baby.
Yeah.
We're just talking now.
Yeah.
So, but
the Chosen just came out in theaters, and so the new season. So that's there is a tie in there. We go watch that.
Yeah.
I do think like it is worth, like, if you can, supporting good art made by people that are trying to tell the story of Jesus.
House of David on Amazon. is fantastic. We have finished the first season of that, and we are just chomping at the bit for second season, and it's probably going to be a year or 2 years.
Ways out, yeah.
So, but if you haven't watched that, if you have Amazon Prime, it's free. Like, turn that on, watch it. You'll love it. I think it's been great so far.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I haven't got to watch it yet, but I've heard really good things.
Yeah,
so
it's really been good. Easter week. This is a big one for churches.
Yeah.
Right? We have, typically speaking, it's one of the Sundays that you have a whole lot of people on, a whole lot of guests or family that come in. It's a great opportunity for people who go, hey, I've kind of walked away from the church for a little bit, or I feel like maybe some people say I want to make sure my kids are in church and stuff. And it's kind of a good season for people to go, okay, springtime, we're going to get up, we're going to start doing this, or we're going to go. So for churches, this is a kind of important week from a guest and loving on people and the gospel standpoint. But I think there's even a bigger emphasis for us on why this week is important, which is celebrating the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus. And we have a week that's full of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge week, and I think this is a huge week, not because like we want to have the biggest, best service ever, or whatever. Like that's all fine and good, but it's a big week because like this is the week that we remember Jesus' resurrection. This is the week that all of creation, all of human history, all of the future, everything in creation, everything in the universe hangs on this week, right? If Jesus would have died and not risen, nothing would have mattered. We wouldn't be sitting here having this podcast. The world wouldn't look the way it does. The positive pieces of it, like we wouldn't have hope, forgiveness, freedom, peace. But because of this week, because of the events of this week, the course of the history of the universe changed forever. And so this is a huge week. And so as we come to Holy Week, we want to remember and to celebrate the death and the resurrection of Jesus. We want to trace his steps through his last week. That's why we participate in Good Friday. That's why we observe kind of Holy Saturday, which is a little unfamiliar in our tradition, but it's just kind of that sitting and waiting, right? That sitting. And then the celebration on Easter Sunday. It is so crucial. This is literally what it is all about. And so Easter week is huge. We're really excited to worship with you guys in several ways this week. By the time you hear this, it'll start tonight. Andrew Derrico, who has led worship here quite a bit with Abby, is actually hosting a psalm service tonight for you guys as you hear this, Thursday at 7 p.m. And he has a final project for his Psalms class that he's working through. And the final project was to host a worship service. So he's asked if he could do it here. He is. There's no pressure to come. It's not a big thing, but just if you want to come and spend a night in prayer, that's at 7:00 tonight. Tomorrow night is Good Friday, so we'll gather outside as long as the weather holds up, and it looks like it's going to at 6. And then Sunday morning, we have a pre-service party at 9:30, coffee, games, donuts, all that fun stuff with worship at 10:30. So there's a lot going on this weekend, and we would invite you to come to, as much of it as you feel led to encounter the risen Jesus this weekend.
Yeah, and it's not even mentioning the stuff that we had this past week.
True,
We had
yeah.
Extravaganza, Palm Sunday, and so it's been a huge week already, and we're getting ready to have even more. But it's worth it. To me, it's like this is to remember what Christ has done. This is all for him, and to have a time where we can slow down, where we can think about what he did, think about his week, and for us to be able to celebrate like Christmas. I love Christmas. I love the season. I love thinking about Jesus's birth, but this is the time of the year, and this is the holiday for me that it means a lot. It means so much, and there's so much going on, and to be able to go this day and this day and this day and this day and walk that same path is incredible. And I'm so thankful for this celebration.
Yeah, same. It is a huge week, but there's something about Easter, I think, that just being together with everyone and gathering, knowing that this is the day that we celebrate the resurrection. There's just something really powerful about that, and I love Easter services. I know, for me, you could have nothing else other than just gathering together. No amplification, no electronics, no whatever. You're just gathering together and you're just singing, remembering what Jesus has done. That's powerful enough. It's just the power of God's people being together, celebrating the fulfillment of his promise in Jesus. That is just so powerful. And we'll do that this weekend. And I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it too. We started our celebration last week. We did a Passover Seder with our family. We do that every year. It's just to remember what Jesus did with his disciples, the implementation of communion. Obviously, that would normally be this upcoming Friday and Saturday, but we chose to do it the week before because we just have a really busy week.
Yeah.
But just a great time to remember what he's done for us. And I think going back to kind of what I was saying is I think that's why this is a perfect time for people to start stirring the Holy Spirit to stir people and for people to start thinking about the people around them.
Yep.
Make sure, as your sermon was this week, make sure that they're making time and making space for their friends, for their family, for their neighbors, for the people that they may not even have any connection with at all, other than I met them at the register and talked to them. Like taking time was kind of your sermon this week, right? And making sure that we're using our time how Christ used his.
Yeah, 100%. It was just the idea that like we believe some lies about our pace of life, and the way we spend our time. We tend to believe that, if we just do more things, our life will be more fulfilled. The more things we can throw on our calendar, the happier we'll be. We tend to believe that everybody lives this way. We tend to believe that everyone lives at this same frantic, pace of life that we do. And we also just tend to believe that like one day it'll calm down, But the truth is that until we take intentional steps and make intentional decisions, like life won't just calm down. We tend to fill our schedules too much. But Jesus seemed to always have this margin in his life. He was okay with being interrupted. He was okay with switching from one person's need to another. He was okay with engaging people where they were at, even if it was inconvenient or untimely. And so for us, there's two parts of it. The first is Jesus' pace of life allowed him to be in touch with his Father and himself, but his pace of life also allowed him to be available and to the needs of other people. And so for us, it was, how do we kind of prioritize the main thing, God and other people? How do we eliminate time stealers, the things that kind of just bog us down mindlessly? And then also, how do we just become okay with being interruptible? And how do we create margin in our life where we're okay with someone interrupting our day or our plan, and meeting the need as God brings us to it.
I love that, and Jesus, and we say this all the time, but it's because it's true, as our ultimate example.
Yeah.
Can you give some examples of how he did that, how he practiced that, and ways that we can look at and apply it to ourselves?
Yeah, I think Jesus was just so okay with being inconvenienced, and was so okay with his schedule being interrupted to meet other people's needs. Honestly, I'm not sure how much of a schedule Jesus kept. Like, he wasn't a great time manager. He probably would not cut it in the corporate world, but he was very intentional. One of the things that we talked about on Sunday was that Jesus really wasn't very efficient, but he was super effective. He lived with a purpose, and he decided to live purposely in a way that said, as things arise, I will meet people where they're at. And so for us, I think that means, not filling our schedules to the brim, leaving some intentional time around, in our day, in our week, that we can just be and Jesus was constantly among people. So the challenge this week was, well, to spend an hour outside in your neighborhood, in your yard, walking on your porch, if you're in an apartment, spend an hour outside on your little patio or in your clubhouse. Just spend time around people and then see what God does with it. Because I feel like that's how Jesus kind of lived. Jesus was very intentional, but he just met things as they came up. So I love the story in Luke 6 where he goes across the sea into the Gerasenes and he heals the demon-possessed man. That's a story where he casts out the demons into the pigs. When he comes back across the way, he is met by Jairus. He's like, dude, you got to come out. My daughter's dying. As he's on his way to help Jairus, the woman who is bleeding touches his cloak. And in all of these things, Jesus is just going about his day, his time, but he is allowing people to interrupt him, and he's able to meet them where they're at. And so for us, I think that's kind of how we have to live. We just live intentionally in a way that says, I'm going to respond to what pops up in front of me. And if it interrupts me or if it inconveniences me, that's okay. Now, obviously, we're not Jesus. We have to have some boundaries. We have to have some structure in place. But I think we tend to, in our culture, at least now, overemphasize our boundaries and say, well, I'm not going to do anything that disturbs my peace. And I think the example of Jesus says, nah, I think it's okay if some things do, because you're called to be a peacemaker for others. And so it doesn't mean you lay yourself totally out to dry and you totally forget about your own needs. That's not true. But I think we could swing the pendulum back a little bit further and say, I'm going to be attentive and attuned to what people need around me.
Yeah, and I would say that Jesus never lost his mission.
Right.
He was never wasting time on his mission, but he also knew that loving others was a part of his mission here on earth.
Sure.
And so with that understanding, he was going on his way. He had places he was going. He had things he was doing because God had called him, his Father had called him to specific things to go and do. But I think that's a beautiful point of, like, as he went along his way, he had room.
Yeah.
And he made room for people even when it was tight, even when it was hard, even when there were people expecting him to do things, he made room for people.
Yeah.
And that's a huge thing for us to look at and go, are we doing that? Are we making room for other people? Are we doing stuff when we do things for other people? Or are we looking for some kind of benefit back? Or is it, hey, I've come along this person and I want to help them. Doesn't matter to me whether I'm getting it back or not. I'm doing this not for my gain, not even as much for their gain, but as for the gain for God and his mission here on earth.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's just the mindset we have to take. As we're talking about loving our neighbors, well, it is a mindset shift. It's a priority shift. But it's one that I believe if we do it, will be just as much of a blessing to us as it is the people around us. I think, it's clear that living life Jesus' way is living a full, whole life. And if we step out in faith and do that, I think he will bless that. And we'll start to experience the wholeness and the fullness that he wants for us to experience.
That'd be great. Or that was great. Your sermon was great. And I think the series has been really good. And I'm looking forward to Easter Sunday. So I bet you'll talk a little bit about the resurrection.
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
And to kind of talk about why have we done everything we've done this week? Where's this all leading? And what do you have coming up for this Sunday that we can look forward to?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we're gonna really dive into the resurrection, of course, and we're going to talk about how Jesus' resurrection points us in a new direction. So Jesus' resurrection shows us the direction he wants for our life to go, to also move from death to life. And there are so many places of death, like in our culture, in our world. And I'm not just talking like literal death, but just where you can just see things aren't the way they should be. Things don't feel as alive as they should. But the resurrection of Jesus shows us that, hey, God wants to bring dead things back to life. And that's true in us. It's true in our community. It's true in our world, that the message of Jesus, the gospel of Jesus, has power to restore and redeem and honestly rebirth us and the people around us. So we're going to follow that example this week, and we're going to talk about what it means to move in a resurrection direction.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I think that sounds awesome. I think it's a great opportunity for people to invite people. I think it's going to be an awesome Sunday for people to be revived and to remember what Jesus has done for us, to get together and praise him and thank him for the gifts and the all the amazing things he's done for us, how he has already brought us from death to life, and how I think he wants to do that even more. And so I think it's going to be a great Sunday for that. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to Good Friday. That service, it's going to be really neat. It's a really great way to refocus and prepare for what is a huge weekend.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Join us this weekend tonight. If you're interested, Andrew's Psalms Project at 7:00, Good Friday tomorrow at 6 p.m., and then Easter pre-service party 9:30 Sunday, and worship at 10:30. So lots of great opportunities. Please join us, invite a friend, and we will see you guys over this holy weekend. Thanks for listening to the Table Talk podcast, and we will see you guys next week.